Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today, as this is a Monday podcast episode, and I have some news to share with you. Now, this podcast is coming out on December 1st. Welcome to December. And as we know, Mercury just stationed direct and Saturn just stationed direct last week. So during that time, I have been, of course, reviewing and in contemplation of next steps. And what was revealed to me is that it's time to change up my podcast so that it is more adaptable to your busy life. So here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be releasing shorter podcasts more often. So on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I will have astrological updates for you that are more topical and timely. They will be shorter most of the time. And then there will be the occasional episodes that are the longer format when we deep dive into a particular topic or theme. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to change the format was not only to make it easier for you to consume this information more often, but we have a lot of transits going on into next year. There's a lot happening on an ongoing basis, and it can be difficult to cover all of that in one show. So I'm going to break it down, and I hope it offers you more guidance, support. I hope it resonates with what you're experiencing. And it also allows me to go a little bit deeper into the specifics of some of these transits. And of course, I feel that it's quite fitting considering we're in this big season of change. And I hope that these offerings continue to support you with what you're moving through. So let's get into how the month of December begins with Venus now in Sagittarius, plus that Mercury stationing direct and Saturn stationing direct. Now, I want to ask you, over the past few days, have you felt a noticeable shift in your consciousness of some kind? Like, have you felt any kind of clearing? Did something fall off the cliff in a good way? Almost like you can no longer hold it energetically and you don't need to. So it feels like a relief. I felt this in my sleep on either Thursday or Friday night. Like something just noticeably changed, and it felt like a glitch in a timeline. And I woke up and had that sense of what just happened? What's going on? So I'm curious if you have felt that too, because I do believe it's directly related to Saturn stationing direct back on Thursday, November 27th. And maybe you were sensing that you were absorbing or holding an energy that was time to release and be complete with it. But it happened at an energetic, intuitive level. Maybe it happened for you physically, but it was very noticeable. So I wanted to ask if you felt the same by chance. Now, as December gets going, we not only have this Mercury direct in Scorpio and Saturn direct in Pisces, but Neptune will be stationing direct on December 10th. And we have a lot of giddy up and go energy with multiple planets in Sagittarius, including the Sun, Mars, Juno, and now Venus in Sagittarius. So there could be a sense of, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to take a risk. I'm ready to go on a new adventure. I'm ready to expand. And I wanted to talk about the strong influence of Sagittarius energy right now is asking you to believe in yourself in a new way and to trust what's arriving that is supporting you in doing so. Mars, of course, brings in the action, enthusiasm, desire to move ahead, to have the fire of discovery burning within that you trust and work with. And this Mars is coming up to a conjunction with Juno in Sagittarius on December 2nd, the same day that Venus in Sagittarius sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. Very strong relationship energy here, very strong momentum for a new start, since Mars conjunct Juno brings in that assertiveness to the Juno themes of commitment, partnership, and devotion. And with this coinciding during Venus in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto in Aquarius, also on December 2nd, there are strong relational energies coming up around how you partner, what calls to you, where you're feeling a magnetism and desire, where you're sensing the energy is moving through you effortlessly, and also an emphasis on creativity and creation, especially as Venus is being powerfully activated through the sextile from Pluto. Now, let me break this down a little bit more. Sagittarius energies in your chart are strongly emphasized right now. And Sagittarius is about asking the bigger questions. It's seeing a higher viewpoint. It's also asking you to call in what you are believing through your own embodied practices and rituals. And what is always interesting about Sagittarius season is that you're also meant to see how you've been deeply transformed and newly evolved after each planet has moved through Scorpio. Now, we know that we've had a very big Scorpio season from late October into November, and Mercury is still in Scorpio. So we are still processing everything that we are moving through, allowing ourselves to feel a new truth. And that truth is going to be strong and passionate. It's going to be something that maybe you've been wrestling with or pushing away, or maybe you've been figuring out, what do I do? What do I do next? What do I say? How do I move forward with this deeper knowingness at a soul level? And the Scorpio intensity is meant to bring us into deeper connection with our soul so we can hear truths that our human experience has forgotten, repressed, pushed away, rejected, whatever the case may be. But you come into deeper contact with a truth that your soul has been beautifully holding for you. And then as the energies move into Sagittarius, you're ready to open up and learn from it, to make moves on it, to understand that it's coming up for a reason. And I feel too like part of the strong Sagittarius energy that we're in is expanding us into new visions around relationships, partnerships, connections, soulmates, soul contracts, and soul frequencies that can go the distance. And that is something that the Sagittarius energy can bring to your awareness. Are we on the same page? Do we have similar belief systems? Are we aligned with our life vision and where we want to move ahead in the world? Sagittarius is exploratory, and it's meant to bring new questions to your awareness. And also going back to the notion of believing in yourself, do you believe in your own rebirth, in your own expansion, and in the new chapters that are unfolding, especially as we move into 2026, because your belief system has to be in alignment with that in order for the energy to be strong and true. And so this could be a time period when more is coming up to your conscious awareness that at first is uncomfortable, overwhelming, unexpected, uncertain, because you're now meeting new aspects of your soul and aligning your belief systems to support these frequencies in yourself. So something has been coming forward that you've been meant to see and embrace in yourself that's about your own soul growth. And now it's time to give that energy, to give these emerging aspects of yourself strength, power, and belief that could feel like a rebirth, could feel like that expansion, but I'm seeing it as maybe a soul fragment is just coming online. Again, something you have pushed away, or it wasn't the right time, or you weren't ready, or whatever the case may be, but something is coming together. It's coming online, and I feel like it's front and center. And there are now choices to make around this part of your energy field and this part of your consciousness. And that's going to lead us to the Gemini Full Moon on December 4th. That's Thursday, which is about some really important choices that can either take you higher and move you into new territory or pull you back into previous patterns, cycles, and habits. So I do have the chart for you on YouTube going through the Gemini full moon. I talk about it more specifically in terms of more of the layers of energy in that chart. Do check that out because that could really help you see what is happening for you this week. But this Venus is greatly empowered through the sextile to Pluto, which is exact on Tuesday, December 2nd. And Venus is always meant to be evolving when she has these beneficial connections to Pluto, which is the case for any personal planet. And so you might find yourself contemplating and considering relationships as a whole in your life, what relationships have taught you, what you have learned, how you have grown. These are all Venus and Sagittarius themes. That Venus in Sag, she loves her freedom and her independence. She wants to move openly and freely. She seeks to learn and grow, and relationships are her playground for that. So one thing to contemplate with this powerful Venus in Sagittarius would be, what are the relationship traits that you regularly seek and need from people in your life? And this could be something that you examine in hindsight. You do like a diagnostic and understand, okay, this is what works for me in my connections, in my friendships. This is what I seek and this is what I need. But I do want to pull in how relationships have greatly changed because of our digital age. More people are on a screen in front of you. More people are on your phone. There are many more people in the world now than what we realized 10, 20 years ago. So we're living in a time when relationships are very different. And I feel like this is part of that Pluto in Aquarius influence, where we're understanding what energetic dynamics suit me in relationships. And I'm going to break it down into 3 different categories here. There are 2D relationships, 3D relationships, and 5D relationships. Now, we're all aware of 3D relationships, the people in your life who know you, who have been in your physical presence, who go out to dinner with you, who hang out with you, the people who know you in real life, right? Those are your 3D connections. Well, nowadays we have more and more 2D connections, and 2D connections are people on your screens and on your phones. 2D relationships can also be described as parasocial relationships. That is the psychological term for a one-sided bond with someone who doesn't know you in return, or who doesn't have the same level of interaction. So for example, raise your hand if you're currently in a long-term committed relationship with Matthew McConaughey, except he doesn't know you even exist. That is a 2D parasocial relationship, and those are more prominent these days. They lack straight facts. They are not real interactions. They are not real connections. It's kind of like social media. Social media these days is more about media than social. Social media is about attention. It's not about connection. Connection is a one-on-one experience. I'm talking about healthy, mature connections happen one-on-one between people who have a bond, who have things in common, who are friends. You get the gist. Social media is a 2D experience that actually pulls us away from real in-life connections. And what can happen is that people take those 2D experiences and they move them right up to the 5D. And they start to idealize, or they start to create these fantasy worlds or one-sided experiences. Now, granted, yes, you can both be in the 5D. You can both be having a very similar energetic experience of one another. But until it's in the 3D, it isn't in the physical, right? It doesn't exist in the physical. So this is a time to look at what types of relationships are truly healthy for you, are truly supporting you at a human level. What kind of people in your life show up for you, are available for you, are around for you? They know you. They know how you live your life. They know your favorite dinner. They know where you spend your time. They know your world. And that is a 3D dynamic. So this is something that's important to be aware of, because safe to say we all have our 2D connections, friends we've never met in real life, people we know online, people we've seen here and there, right? We can relate to that these days. But this is a time to look at what kinds of connections are real and true for me. And so getting back to the question I asked earlier is, what are the relationship traits that you regularly experience with the people in your life? And I did this exercise for myself, and I identified like 5 relationship traits that are true for the people closest to me in my world. And some of these people don't even know each other, but they all share very similar traits. So for example, for me, the important traits are people are forthright. They are direct communicators. They show up and tell me something. They reach out and interact. They come forward with information, with invitations to hang out, whatever it might be. And because of this, we solve things together. The people in my life, we do a lot of let's figure this out together stuff. Like, for example, one of my really good friends, he was traveling and he had some really bad experiences. And it was really early in the morning and he tried to reach his boyfriend. His boyfriend wasn't up yet. So he texted me and I'm like, yeah, I'm up. Do you need to talk? And he's like, yeah, I really need to talk. And I'm available for him. I'm available for my friends. Even if I'm busy, which we're all busy these days, or it's not an ideal time, it's like I'm available and they're available for me. And we also have these shared experiences of let's figure this out together. Like, what can I do to help you? And so there's this really nice common theme of you don't have to figure it all out on your own. I got you. And that enhances our connection and our bond. Another example was over a month ago, I was getting my podcast done for you. And one of my best friends was texting a lot. And you know how you text back and forth with someone to the point where you're like, we should just talk. We don't need to be texting this much. So I'm like, do you want to talk? She's like, yeah. We ended up speaking on the phone for over an hour and a half. She was going through a really big, hard, difficult thing. And so even though we were on the phone for an extended amount of time, I'm like, my podcast will just get out late. It's fine. You are the priority. I'm available for you because you matter to me. So something that's important in my connections are people who prioritize the friendship, prioritize the connection. And that's where we have empathy for one another. You know, we're understanding, we're caring, we're saying, okay, yeah, this is hard and it's on your mind right now. So let's move the energy right now. People in my life are also mature. They have real life responsibilities, right? They have priorities. They have family issues. They're parents. We kind of all share this theme of sacrifice. Like you have to be available when your child is sick. That changes your whole work day or your work week. You have to adapt when your kid needs you or when there's an emergency or someone's sick. So we all have this mature perspective of what it means to be readily available for those who need us and knowing that that comes with an element of sacrifice that's part of being a mature, disciplined adult. And you don't have to be a parent to have that level of maturity, but there's an understanding of how you use your energy regularly with others and in regards to others' needs. And another thing that is a common trait between some of the closest people in my life is that they all have qualities I admire. They have awesome strengths and interests, and I feel like I'm becoming a better person through this relationship with them because I believe that relationships should be a net positive. Relationships should be a net gain. So this is a week to assess your relational dynamics, to think about what are the qualities that work for me in my connections, in my key connections. And this is especially true with the people you choose to be in a relationship with. And that's what Venus is about. Venus is about who you choose to have fun with, to hang out with, to do nothing with. She is about the people that you magnetize in and who you are magnetized towards, where you share a common energy, common values, and have similar connection styles. So Venus is about who you choose, which is different than, of course, family or maybe some of your coworkers or clients, but it's who you choose to keep close in your own personal world. So that is something to keep in mind here as December begins, is to look at what relationships really work for me. They give me life. They are a net gain, a net positive. They bring me joy. I'm happy to see this person, right? Isn't that the best feeling when you get to look forward to seeing someone? That's what this week is about. And Venus sextiling Pluto is going to give you those insights. Mars conjunct Juno is going to show you what works for you in partnerships, relationships, soulmate connections. Because part of how things work is that you're yourself. You're just naturally who you are. You're not trying to fit yourself into a mold, a definition, an expectation. And that might be something that comes to your attention this week as Venus is renewed and empowered as December begins. So I'll be back on Wednesday with another podcast for you where we'll discuss more about that Gemini full moon that's coming up on Thursday and more about the bigger background energies that are also happening as December begins. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to this one. And I look forward to connecting with you now 3 times a week. So take good care and I'll see you back here soon.